Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today on Collection Lessons, I want to talk about keeping in control. This is part of my collection lesson series. Anything I say on this channel is not anything advice, so let's get going. So I talk about keeping in control. Basically, we're all just trying to make our lives not fall apart, right? Because the longer that you keep in control of either your money, your finances, your emotions, everything, the better life that, statistically you should have, in theory you should have, right? When you know, day to day, every, day to day activity that you try and do, are you in control of that, or is somebody else in control, or are you just leaving it up to random chance? And I know I say in another video about making decisions, but not making the decisions, because, like, you can get decision fatigue. But when you make decisions to just kind of give you different experiences, you're still in control. And so, like, that's where I find, and I've looked into like a midlife crisis, right? You're going along life, and then somewhere along there you start losing control. It's like just losing control of your car, right? If this was like a highway and you're going down, and you hit a icy patch or something, how you react to it, right? You hit some sort of icy patch here, how you react to it determines if you're going in the ditch or not. Are you in control when a hard situation comes? Are you prepared, for that situation? Sure, you can't be prepared for every situation, but like usually you could control something in that situation. Either if it's your reaction to that situation, right? If there's some unpleasant news of somebody passing in your family, the best thing you can do is, be in control of your emotions. If you can't be in control of, if does that person, live healthy or take vitamins, or if something were to happen to that person, right, and you don't really have control over that person, because everyone lives their own life, which is fine. You just have your reactions to it, right? Um, it, I haven't had any personal losses anytime lately, but I know that it would be hard, right? And it's a hard thing. And then, are you able to keep it on the road during hard times? And that's where things like, when I've looked up like midlife crisis and that type of thing, it's kind of like here's my thoughts on keeping in control and midlife crisis and that type of thing is you have a life, obviously. Somewhere in that life, in my opinion, it's between, let's say, 25 to 35, maybe later, but I would say somewhere in this chunk. Somewhere in this chunk, and this, let's say, is for me mostly what I've seen, is, from 0 to 18, 0 to 20, you're told go to school, get a job, get a career, and then you'll make it. Well, that obviously doesn't happen. It's not the same, it's not the best advice for these times, in my opinion. It's not the same as it was 20, 30 years ago. Um, Things will always get worse, is a quote from one of my friends that has retired, and he's lived a good and long life from what I know, and it's just, back in the day, and in my opinion, all of this kind of stems from the government and money and whatever. But like back in the day, one salary, you could live off one salary, and it bought you one house and all that stuff. But those were the times back then. But the times aren't the same. You need two salaries almost now, and even two salaries is kind of tight. And you still need to make sacrifices, and you still can't buy a house for cash and those types of things, right? So when you go from like, let's say 1 to 18, you're in school, you're conditioned to get a job, and then you're going to make it because you're going to do this job from 18 to 65 is what they say, or 67. It keeps going up because we get longer and somehow the pensions run out. But anyway, somewhere in here, 25 to 35, somewhere in that range, you start realizing and you start saying to yourself, is this like all there is to life? If is this all there is? Going to paycheck, paycheck, barely put anything away, and that's where things happen. Start making, not the best decisions. Like this period is this right here. It's the icy patch. It's the, I just bought a house. I got a dog. I'm having kids. I'm going to work for the next 50 years of my life. Is this all there is? Right? And you don't get to spend time with the kids, to spend leftovers with them, and the dog has to go and get $3,000 worth of operations, and you weren't prepared for that, and all that stuff, right? So how do you remain in control for all of this? For especially for this rough patch. Maybe there's one later on I haven't encountered. I'm not over 50 yet. But this is what I found is the best thing that I believe that most people can do is have an emergency fund. And before, a few years ago, I didn't really have one. My emergency fund was a line of credit, right? So if we were to put this in one, two, three, four, let's say, first step of remaining in control is obviously money, because money affects a lot of things. So that means an emergency fund. It also means like having cash flow, like you're not just sitting on money and then you're slowly depleting it, right? Having cash flow where it's coming in and you want to, live that balanced percentage lifestyle that I keep talking about. But I tried to, do it with a line of credit. And then I found that when an emergency happened, when an event happened that I was going to lose control, I just borrowed from it. And then that, in the end, financially hurt me later on because there's interest and all that stuff, right? So, how to keep in control is have money, obviously, right? The emergency fund, and then also having cash flow where you're also saving money. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's going to be hard to keep in control, right? Now, money won't solve all your problems. Money will solve your money problems, which are probably most of your problems. That was a famous quote that I was from somebody very wise that I know. And that's the first thing of keeping control. The second thing is just remember everything has emotions, right? Especially in like investing, when things go up, you have high emotions. You're on a high. You're not going to sell because it's going to keep going up. And then it goes down. And then you have this valley of despair, right? You have a market cycle. It's always like this in emotions. And maybe it's angling up, but you'll have your highs where you don't sell. You have your lows where you sell. And you'll be like, oh, this thing's garbage. And then it goes up. This is all playing with your emotions. Similar to like your job. Oh, the raise is coming. It's coming. Then you don't get it, right? It's like you lose. Good day, sir, right? Like it's you expect to get more and all you can do is control your emotions. So keeping in control is, some of it's money, some of it's just keeping control of your emotions, right? If you do things that make you feel bad and make you feel discouraged, maybe you shouldn't do those anymore. If things make you sad, if it's you know things are negative, if you have negative association, if people are always mad around you, it's going to be hard to keep in control because you might get influenced by those people, right? It's all about your association. I think I say that in another video. um, but yeah, it's just keeping in control. And just remember, like, things things in society that I find tend to rip people apart. And it can, either be emotionally, physically, like, you know, everything, like let's say you have a spouse and the whole thing that you've been told is to get a job and go work somewhere. Well, if you guys work in opposite directions, right? You sleep for 8 hours, you go to work for 8 hours, and then what? You have 8 hours for what? Leftovers, right? Like you can't really do much when you're sleeping, with your spouse, and then you go different directions with, and so you don't really get to see them. So like society's kind of about like, it's just kind of rips people apart. And just try to keep in control of that. Recognize that, right? There's men's things, there's women things, which are fine. You can have, um, your own things, but just remember that everything kind of plays with your emotions. So that's the second thing about keeping in control. And then just the other last thing that I want to mention is your mind. And the difference between emotions and mind, emotions is more reactive. Keeping your mind in control is kind of more proactive. So emotions are things that happen. You see it, you go, your investments go up. That's a reaction. That's an emotion. If you, I can't think of any others. But anyway, your mind is like, you just gotta free your mind, clear your mind, recognize what's going on, be aware, be self-aware. It's kind of like, you can't be mad. Like, this is where emotions and mind kind of play. You can't be mad at the job world because how it's structured and how it's just time for money. You have to remember, before, this is the proactive part, that it's a job and that's how it works, right? You can't be frustrated, right? These kind of tie together. You can't be frustrated at a situation if you prepared your mind first for the situation. It can be frustrating at the time, but then you kind of like, you don't have to worry about this, and it frees your mind, helps you keep in control, if that makes sense. So that's what I've kind of found. Keeping in control, that's all we're trying to do. We're all just trying to keep control so we don't lose it and go in the loony bin, and things get worse from there, right? You want to correct it. If you have a patch and you're going out, of control, just bring it back in. I know that's an easy thing to say, and it's not easy to do, right? But recognize where you're headed. Because if you hit this slippery patch in life and you're going the wrong direction, or if you're going towards the ditch and you don't correct, you'll just be like, just everything, will just not be great, right? It's kind of like a compound effect. If you start going in the wrong direction, it'll compoundingly get worse, and that's where things always get worse. You want to keep this level, or of course you want to go up in life. Keep in control the whole way. These are kind of my little talks that help people. And I think keeping control is about money. It's about your emotions, what you react to. It's about preparing your mind, what you can do proactively. So, hope that helps. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks, and talk soon.